Hi, and welcome to Wine Australia's video series, Reading Between the Vines. Throughout this series, you'll hear from grape growers and winemakers about their experience using agtech. We'll hear stories about the cost-benefit, their engagement, and the outcomes engaging with technology to help them grow more sustainably and more profitably. So, let's jump right in. Good morning, we're at Best Wines in Grampians in Victoria this morning. I'm here with Ben Thomson from Best Wines. G'day Ben, how are you?
Good.
Good, excellent mate. Love to hear a little bit about yourself this morning.
Well, I've been here pretty much all my life. I'm fifth generation here at Best's. I'm managing director, look after the vineyards, a bit of this, do a bit of that, yep. Do a bit of everything really. We've got one of the oldest vineyards in Australia here, and behind us here you can probably just see our original nursery block, which was planted in the 1860s. It's still the original block.
Tell us a little bit about the viticulture at Best's. Have you got a particular practice that you've been adopting?
Started adopting a few things over a number of years. Traditionally what we used to do is, well, it all used to be horse and cart. Everything, and you see the vines out the front were very low. Then for a lot of years, because we're in a frost-prone area, we used to rotary hoe the soil in spring, roll it, kill every weed we can possibly find in the place. And that was mainly for frost protection, so we'd get the ground, we'd roll it, get the ground nice and flat to absorb radiant heat and all that. Then after a number of years, when I sort of had more of a say in what went on, we planted permanent swards and a lot of deep-rooted fescue and things like that to try and encourage worms back. And we've been doing that now probably 30 years nearly.
Interesting, Ben. So tell us a bit about the Smart Apply technology itself.
The Smart Apply system basically runs a LiDAR at the front of the spray cart. It takes 120,000 points per second, so it's actually reading the density of the vines itself, and somehow there's some sort of algorithm in there that figures it all out, sends it to the computer, then it runs back to the spray nozzles. And what we've done, we've put pulse nozzles on each head of our spray unit.
Right.
So what it does is when it pulses, if it doesn't pulse at all, it's going out flat out. So if I set it at, say, 300 litres a hectare to go out, if it feels like it needs that, it won't pulse at all. But if it only feels like it needs 150 litres a hectare or reduce the rate for those vines, it'll start to pulse really quick. So it'll pulse slow, and then to reduce it less and less and less, it'll pulse less and less and less until it gets to a stage, well, I don't even need any, so it'll completely shut down. Right. So I've got the bottom heads aimed at this, but they'll sense when there's a bit taller stuff, they'll turn on and then they'll turn off. So half the time down the road, the top heads aren't even running. So it's mainly the bottom ones and they're pulsing, and then they don't pulse and they're pulsing. And you can see the rate varying up and down.
And it's doing this in real time as well.
Doing real time.
Right,
so,
yeah, interesting.
The first rate I went out, I think I set the machine at 200 litres a hectare, and we averaged 80 litres a hectare. So, and that's just
over a third of the chemical usage. Yeah, right.
So it'll automatically, when there's not a vine there, it'll turn off. Yeah. It turns itself off at the end. You don't turn the system on and off. It just, as you pull in, it senses the vine, turns itself on. If there's a couple of gaps, it'll turn itself off. If there's a gap that side, not that side. What I'm hoping to do in the future is also use that information out of the system for fertilising as well.
Right. So you've got a view of the vineyard now and how big and small the canopies are in different areas. Yep. So using that for fertilising.
For fertilising, well. But I'm also wondering whether I can adapt the LiDAR to put it on the spreader as well and work it in the opposite. So where the foliage is light, it'll put more on. Where it's heavier, it'll put less on. My aim is to try and grow premium grapes. If I have a 400 metre row, I want to grow premium from there all the way to there, not premium in this bit, then drop a little bit, then super premium a little bit. I want to try and get the whole lot. My gut feeling is that's the future. If you're going to survive, I think you've got to be up the more quality end. For sure. But we're only a small winery too. So.
Yeah, sure. No, that makes total sense. So, and you've got some sustainability outcomes in this as well. Obviously, using less chemicals. Less chemicals, less water. I feel if we can go up a quality in chemicals, I'll probably end up doing less spray rounds as well. Right. So instead of just the old copper and sulphur where we're washed off, I can probably stretch our spray runs out. So instead of doing 5 or 6 a year, I might be only doing 4 or 5 a year. Right. And you're using your tractors less?
Using your tractors
fewer
less,
passes, so you've got less compaction.
Yeah, and if we can get the history of that going, and we've already mapped our vineyards for rows, hopefully in 3 or 4 years we'll be able to go autonomous as well. Right. That's my ultimate game, is to go fully autonomous if we can.
How have you found the experience with the unit so far? Has it been pretty reliable?
Yes, I'm not going to tell you a lie. We're the first one in Australia. We have had a few hiccups, but to be honest, that's probably more with us getting the setup right. Making sure, you know, going, oh, hang on, this is not quite right. So we changed some settings. Oh yeah, that's better, and then change some more settings. But like I said, it's the first one in Australia. We've been learning it all over phone calls with the US and internet calls and video calls and all that. I'm really happy with it. I think it's, for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
And you're retrofitting this to your existing equipment as well,
Yes.
so it's not like you've got to go and buy a whole new sprayer. This is something you can fit to whatever you're using.
You can put it on any sprayer. We bought a green tech, we've adapted to that. Your ones like your Sylvans that have all your jets up the side, I think it would work really, really well on that as well, because you just put a pulse jet on that one, so it reads it more. I went the other way, I went for the heads because I want really good penetration and all that. With the really good penetration, I believe I can use less chemical as well.
Ben, thanks so much for sharing your story today, mate. Really appreciate it, and all the best moving forward with this Smart Apply unit.
No worries. Thanks very much, Dave.
Good on you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.